Well, Eskom can only meet half of its obligations on air quality, and that's in only 4 years. So a briefing taking place at the Portfolio Committee on Environment, Forestry and Fisheries. The power utility informing the committee that due to excessive financial, also outage and resource requirements, it has adopted a phased and prioritised approach for 57% of compliance for its environmental compliance by the year 2025. Let's now find out, excuse me for coughing, the whole morning. The approach has been accepted by government, we're told, but that simply can't be good enough. Let's speak to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Environment, Forestry and Fisheries. It's always a pleasure. Welcome to the show, Mr. Fikile Xasa, joining us. Fikile, does any of this just sound like excuses from Eskom? Because regardless of any of the issues they might be dealing with, it cannot justify polluting the environment.
No, that's correct, Gareth, but they usually apply to the department for approval. And in terms of this 57% you are referring to, that has been granted, permission has been granted for Eskom to move in that direction. There are a number of issues that are involved. Yes, it's health issues, economic issues as well, financial issues. So they have been able to explain themselves to the department, and ultimately that was granted. It was approved. So they are working in terms of that plan now.
Help me understand, Fikile, if I read this correctly, and just to help me unpack this, they've adopted a phased and prioritized approach for 57% compliance by 2025. That's still 4 years away. If they want to get to 57% in 4 years, how bad is their compliance currently?
Well, generally, when we engaged them, because we convened them, because we also wanted to make sure that they actually are sticking to what has been agreed to. Progress is satisfying to us as far as we are concerned, and generally they are part of every activity of government in the country. They are part of the Presidential Commission on Climate Change. They are committed because their team was led by their chairperson of the board. They are committed to actually try and meet our obligations internationally, as well as our national commitments as government. So with our engagements and questions, we think they are on the right track to meet that 57%.
I'm curious to know, apart from the chairperson for the Portfolio Committee on Environment, I would have suspected, considering the committee looking into this, that anything less than 100% would have been good enough right now, taking into account everything, Mr. Fikile, that you've spoken about. But it's the Committee on the Environment. I would have thought we would have hit Eskom with a big wooden spoon for damaging the air quality that you and I breathe every single day. I thought you would have been angrier.
Yes, definitely. That was the attitude, but with explanation and our understanding, of course, of the vision of the country, we are committed to minimize emissions generally as a country. But that process, it equally involves issues of economic development. And so there are a number of issues that get engaged when we're talking about this. That's why I'm saying they explain themselves to a point where it was approved that they should, by after 5 years, they should get to 57. But that's not what we are about. We are demanding that they should, as much as is possible, do the best they can, even to exceed what is put as a target.
Perhaps as a last question to you, Fikile, very briefly, if you can, you've now set a target, 2025, 57%, shockingly low for the next 4 years. Let's say Eskom does not get there. What kind of punishment are you going to hand out? What kind of punishment would you recommend for Eskom if they fail on this as well? Brief answer, if you could, please, sir.
Yes, definitely. Our constitution demands that people should be not be exposed to pollution. So our demand would be to say, like I'm saying, go beyond 57% if possible. But I know there are financial implications and other challenges that they are confronting.
I appreciate your time speaking to us this morning. Worryingly low. No doubt we're going to try and get Greenpeace and those organizations on as well to speak to us. Chairperson for the Forestry, Fisheries and Environmental Committee. It's the chairperson, Mr. Fikile Xasa, joining us here on the South African morning. Incredibly low numbers as well. I mean, 50